My name is Kira Macauley. I'm a senior in the college studying government, education, inquiry, and justice. I'm zooming in from central Massachusetts. And on campus, I serve on the GU Politics Student Leadership Council. And I also had the privilege of meeting you when I was on a GU Politics trip in Iowa earlier this year. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I just wanted to ask you about something that really hit me as I read your book. You talk a lot about your experience as mayor and how important and influential local politics are. Do you think that, considering both your campaign and also the current situation of coronavirus, you've inspired more Americans to look towards their local government and pay more attention to those really important governing bodies?
Yeah, thanks for that. First of all, thanks for reading the book. I hope it's a good read. And yeah, I think more than ever now, we're seeing just how important the local level is. And part of that has to do with I think, a leadership gap happening at the federal level. But part of it's a little more structural. It's just the fact that so many of the decisions that really affect our lives are ones that cash out at the local level. I also think it's probably the case that part of what worked well for me as a political style are the instincts of a mayor. So, you know, when you are in that kind of local government, you are never that removed from the circumstances of those you're serving. We eat what we cook is how I like to put it, because you're a resident and you're not removed, even in the way that almost inevitably happens for you know, if you're a legislator in DC and you physically have to be away from your community most of the time just to do your job, you're very much in it. And so I think that creates certain habits in terms of how you interact with people and how you need to be ready for people to catch you anywhere with anything and just deal with it, that I think are healthy and needed right now. Look, I mean, most of the heroes, so to speak, in the political side of things who we've seen are governors. We're seeing how, you know, certainly I think Andrew Cuomo has emerged as somebody that a lot of people are looking to, just as an example of what decisive political leadership looks like. And by the way, this is not limited to my party. I think governors, for example, in Ohio, Republican governors getting very good marks for acting there. Mayors even more so. Nothing could be less partisan than how a mayor navigates protecting residents from this. And I do hope that my campaign has vindicated a little bit the idea that that we would do well to bring that kind of attitude more into Washington. I always had a line in my stump speech where I talked about why we needed to try to get Washington to run a little more like our best run cities and towns before it starts happening the other way around. And you could feel how that resonated, because I think a lot of people have that same experience. You know, we have our, Lord knows we got our politics and our fierceness and our silliness at the local level too. But many of the worst things about national politics don't quite happen locally, because you don't have the same predictable partisan commitments driving everything. And I think we need more of that more than ever. So my hope is the intersection of you know, the case we were able to make politically and the experience that we've had in terms of what we're going through right now nationally, will continue to point the way toward that. I don't look, I respect what goes on on Capitol Hill, but I just don't believe that being the mayor of the 300th largest city in America is any less relevant to the presidency than being the 300th most senior member of the House. And let me mention just one other thing that I think is really important here. Especially with regard to being a mayor. You learn very quickly that your job is not just policy. It's management, and it's not just management. You've got to come up with good policies, just like any legislator does. You've got to figure out how to create and run an administration, just as anyone in senior leadership does in government, whether you're appointed or elected as an executive. Then there's something else you've got to, and it's the part that's not written down anywhere. And it's that you've got to call a population to its highest values. That's part of how you earn your paycheck. And I think that's true for presidents too. And I really tried to validate that idea. And I hope that we got somewhere and just widen people's imagination of what is a real meaningful background in politics for the national level.